historical look of what their records are against each other.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, they've played enough against each other in the on the SCG Tour and then Grand Prix and all that good stuff. So I'm curious what the head-to-head is. Someone should keep track of the versus videos too. What's the head-to-head there?
We had it. Well, there's a different thing going on with the versus videos. The goal isn't necessarily to win, but to be instructive.
Try to tell Brad that.
But last year for the Players' Championship, Matthias Hunt did research and got everyone's head-to-head record in SCG events.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Matthias just love those numbers.
He's a numbers guy.
Let's compile data. We're underway here. It's a fortified village, revealing a plains, a Thraben Inspector. And we're underway in round number 8 here from Indianapolis. For Brad, it's just a plains. He'll pass the turn back. Todd, of course, gets a clue from the Inspector. He'll serve in for 1. Nelson will fall down to 19. Next up is a plains. It's a Sylvan Advocate. Pass it back. Brad picks up a Gideon for the turn. He will play a forest here in a moment, I think. He'll slow it down a touch. There's a forest. Here's a servant of the conduit. And now we head back over to Todd. Todd will draw. There's Nather Hub. I want Todd to attack with his Thraben Inspector so bad right now. All right, Fairgrounds Warden will take care of that.
Yeah, that's easier.
Yeah. Since they both have access to the pump spell, Blossoming Defense, you can get a little tricky. Hub will come down. There is a Sylvan Advocate. 3 energy available for Nelson. Fairgrounds Warden, pretty nice looking Magic card. The follow-up is a Gideon. Anderson's first handful of turns been pretty nice here.
Yep, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
Green-white mirror match achievement unlocked.
There's a Knight Ally. No real great attack, so we'll just head back over to Nelson.
Yeah, showing a lot of respect there for Blossoming Defense.
Yep.
Would have been pretty rough if Nelson had it.
Nelson will play a Smuggler's Copter and a Sylvan Advocate and pass the turn back. Anderson will untap. We'll see him draw here in just a moment. He picked up a copy of the Gearhawk. I don't think he has land 5 for the 1 through 5 beatdowns.
Yep.
It's not the only thing he doesn't have right now. But Brad actually catching up pretty well here with the 2 Advocates and the Copter on defense.
Though Todd slightly ahead on the battlefield right now, plus Gideon, so definitely a positive position.
Going to start by sacrificing a clue to draw a card. I believe Canopy Vista.
Perfect.
Seen worse.
Can't do it this turn, but can do it next turn.
Gideon going to get cashed in for an emblem. Advocate and Knight Ally are coming in. 3-4 Advocate, 3-3 Knight Ally. The Fairgrounds Warden is now a 2-4. That's back on defense, and the Thraben Inspector is now a 2-3, also back on defense.
Anderson, no way he's going to get the Fairgrounds Warden involved in combat just yet. Wants to keep that on back, and the Thraben Inspector could be swallowed up there by a double block, and Brad's got enough luck to play with where he could do that if he wanted to. So this attack gets at least trades across and some damage, worst case scenario. And those creatures that Todd has back on defense become a lot more valuable next turn when he has access to the Hulk.
Nelson going to try to figure out how he wants to block here. He's going to start by activating the Copter, it looks like. And it looks like we're going to see a double block on the Knight Ally. Looks like he wants to take care of the Sylvan Advocate. Nelson will draw because the Copter did get the opportunity to block.
Yeah, Anderson has to order his blocks there before Nelson resolves the trigger.
There's a discard of Sylvan Advocate. So Advocate's going to bite the dust, going to trade with the Night Ally. Copter's still going to be left around. I think the reason for that is because Copter actually takes a creature to
Exactly.
turn on.
It's when Anderson is going wide here, it's very awkward for Nelson to try to block with the Copter. So usually Copter the better of the two, but in this particular spot, I think Anderson just says, if you want to try to block with that thing, go ahead. I don't think you have enough life to do it or enough resources.
Westville Abbey, the land there for Nelson. Big follow-up. All right, he's the first to Gearhulk. It's just an 8/8. That's all.
Okay.
Just an 8/8. Anderson will draw. So Nelson has the biggest creature on the battlefield, but now the question is how does Todd want to go about using his Gearhulk in combination with the Gideon Emblem?
Also keep in mind that he's picked up land number 6 too, because Advocate's fired up, plus he has the emblem. But even if he loads up on 1, he only gets to a 7/8. So if he wants to take that kind of path, he probably wants to just go wide and put the tokens on the smaller stuff and just try to make blocking as awkward as possible.
Yeah, I like 3 on 1, and then figure out where you want to put the next one. Advocate becomes a 4/5, but then a 5/6 because of the emblem. So now it's an 8/9.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
So now he's clear for takeoff with this one. He's just got to figure out if he wants to do anything else. Huh. Thraben Inspector attacking?
Well, if Nelson needs to double block to get the Advocate off the table, Nelson can only double block. So then it's kind of
Sure,
free.
so it's a freebie.
If Nelson wants to trade, the other block that Nelson can have, I guess, is Advocate in front of Thraben Inspector and Gearhulk in front of Advocate. Or sorry, the other way around. But Anderson doesn't care about that either. So it's sort of freebie.
Pretty crafty attack. One thing that Brad can do here is say, all right, I'll block your Inspector with my Copter, take the 8, and then I get a loot. I mean, he would fall down to 5. I think he'd be kind of behind on the board, but might be what he wants to do. Okay, so it looks like he's going to chump with the Copter and have the Gearhulk eat the Inspector.
Yep.
All right.
And Anderson's definitely happy to trade the Thraben Inspector for the Copter here, which is essentially how this breaks.
All right.
And see, this is why Anderson's decision the previous turn to get rid of the Advocate over the Copter was so significant. Nelson's block looks a lot better this turn if he's got Gearhulk plus 2 Sylvan Advocates versus Copter, Sylvan Advocate, and Gearhulk.
There goes Gideon. Back to Brad. Interesting matchup. It's the back and forth here.
And
Well,
these games are hard to play. I would not want
yeah.
to do this on no sleep.
Gideon time, perhaps? Yes. Knight Ally. Pass with, just a green mana available. No big deal.
What's also really nice about this is now Nelson has the large Sylvan Advocate essentially checked with the Gideon, who can generate a chump blocker every turn. The Gearhulk is so much larger than anything else Anderson has on the table that attacking becomes really problematic.
Makes sense.
And Nelson's got enough life to work with here that it's not like Todd can just go wide and finish off the game that way based on what he has to work with currently. And also, Nelson's the one with the Westvale Abbey. So if the game bogs down, he can pivot to that and try to finish off the game that way.
I mean, he's already kind of making 2 creatures a turn. Furnace Gearhulk will catch you up real fast.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Advocate in. We'll see where it's attacking. Brad or Gideon.
I think it looked like Anderson pointed at Nelson.
Yep, going to Brad. Doesn't care about that Planeswalker, it appears. All right, just a chump block. Todd's follow-up is... okay. Tracker's a really good last card to have.
Tracker plus land is perfect.
Yeah.
With the mana left over to break 2 clues. I like Nelson there deciding just to chump block. Once his 8/8 Gear Hulk is off the table, then he has to worry about the size of every other creature that Anderson has in play. As long as he's got an 8/8 hanging back, then it's just, how do I check the Sylvan Advocate at every turn? That's the only puzzle he's got to figure out.
Yep, there's Fairgrounds Warden. Target the tracker. All right, Todd solves that problem. Excuse me, Brad solves that problem. Here's Servant of the Conduit. 2 energy. Brad already thinking about playing the land now. I think he might as well, yep. There's Fortified Village. Make a Knight Ally, pass the turn back. Servant of the Conduit with the draw here for Anderson. Now I'm just trying to figure out what the best card is. I think it's Smuggler's Copter.
Some sort of flyer.
Yeah, to kind of get through this
Even
nonsense.
even that's getting really challenging now because Nelson has Westvale Abbey plus the mana in play.
True. Gonna be a showdown. Here comes the Advocate again. All right, just a chump block. He's got Tracker again. Okay, so Tracker, Servant, pass the turn back, no land to play. Now Todd's getting the range where almost all of his draws are good. Land will give him more draws. Knight Ally here from Nelson. I think we actually talked about coming in this round how games don't really drag out like this anymore.
Well, even I mean, this game has dried out in spite of Anderson going 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
And Nelson not being that smooth out of the gate. But both of these decks very light on creature removal, so that definitely assists in making the games go on for a longer time.
There's Fortified Village. Sacrifice the clue, draw a card. Didn't get a great look at what Anderson drew. I'm curious if he wants to just keep going to the Advocate attack. It looks like he does. Going to go after Gideon. The past couple of turns we've seen Nelson just block with the Knight Ally. I'm curious if he wants to shift his behavior here because he's got 5 creatures in the battlefield, which means he could activate Westvale Abbey, but he'd be giving up a lot to do so.
Yeah, I think that Nelson can kind of maintain the status quo here for as long as Anderson's doing what he's doing. I mean, Anderson has so much power in play that even, say, making Ormondal and attacking, that probably saves Nelson less damage than just hanging back on defense with what he currently has. The real prize here is if Nelson can cobble together a block on the Sylvan Advocate that doesn't involve getting his Virtuous Gear Hulk in harm's way. That's very attractive. I don't know if he has the resources to do it, though. I mean, it has to involve a block that doesn't involve getting the Fairgrounds Warden involved in there either, because that's not really getting Nelson ahead at that point. Green, white, creature mirrors.
They're not easy. It's a lot of combat math. It does feel like like playing a super-powered game of Limited.
Yep.
And with
Except no one has flyers or any sort of evasion.
Yeah, yeah. And when Blossoming Defense is involved, even pump spells are involved at that point too.
Yeah, you can see Brad's trying to see if there's a route that he can go there to get a better block. But again, I think he just needs to kind of hold steady here.
Serve the Conduit, 2 more energy. Brad's going to pay a life to make a Westvale Abbey Human Cleric.
Because I think the eventual goal here that Nelson can have is if he's activating Westvale Abbey every turn, and he's activating Gideon every single turn, he starts to get ahead in terms of how much he's generating every turn versus how much he has to chump block with. Once he gets in that spot, it's possible for him to make a low opportunity cost Ormondal, something that doesn't require him to sacrifice a lot of valuable creatures. And at that point, he can take a stab at it if he wants it. But I don't think he wants to sacrifice anything valuable or anything large enough to block the stuff that Anderson has on the other side of the table. So he's got to hold tight here for a little bit. dodgy position to be in because you don't like holding tight against Tireless Tracker, but I don't know if Nelson's got really a route to move elsewhere. The other thing that he can do is just go Westvale Abbey, make Ormondal, Gideon Emblem, hit you for 10, untap, hit you for 10, and hope that's good enough.
Sure. Third Inspector is going to make a clue. Gideon makes a Night Ally. And Brad is still representing Westvale Abbey here. The question is, will he ever make his move?
And maybe he just wants one more turn of cushion here. It looks to me like he's almost got enough to make his move here with Ormondal plus a Gideon Emblem in one more turn. He can have enough to survive the attack on the way back.
Anderson drew a Canopy Vista, played that, got a clue, cracked it, Tracker got a counter. Now he's drawn his card. We didn't get a great look at it as he surveys the battlefield.
And as long as Nelson is kind of sitting back on defense with the Westvale Abbey, it's very hard for Anderson to attack with anything else. And it looks like Nelson's about to make his move here. You can see he's starting to set the garbage aside.
Saying this is the stuff that's going to bite the dust. A Night Ally, Thraben Inspector, you know, the irrelevant things.
Yeah, he's gotten ahead enough with the nonsense that he's close to being able to take that line. Because of the presence of Fairgrounds Warden, I would, if I'm in Nelson's spot, ideally I would like to make Ormondal in the same turn where I feel comfortable making a Gideon Emblem, so it's 10 and then 10.
Finish him off
I'm
over 2 turns.
Not a huge fan of giving him the extra draw step when he does have an out to Ormondal.
Well, if you draw a Blossoming Defense, problem solved.
Yep, but how long are you going to wait for that with Anderson having Tireless Tracker in play?
Not very long. I'd prefer not to. Let's say that. Nelson will pass. Anderson will draw. He has a forest. Crack the clue. Tracker has 3 counters now. Also, there is a little bit of chump block to be done on Todd's side. You know, something like a copter.
Possibly, yeah.
I can buy him a turn. Let's see what this is. Gideon. Four counters, Night Ally. Pass. Brad, going to sacrifice the clue. Looks like he picked up a copy of Fairgrounds Warden. Does he want to do anything with Westvale Abbey? Yep, he does. Ormondal's here. Time to make 5 creatures disappear. There they go. Now Nelson will untap. And he'll draw. Does he want to go to the Gideon Emblem plan that you mentioned? It is somewhat attractive to make an emblem here. You said play this game over 2 turns, not 3?
That would be my ideal.
Fairgrounds Warden. That'll take care of the tracker. All right.
Just looking to cut off a draw step here.
Yep.
Or potentially multiple draw steps.
There's your emblem. Everybody's got enormous creatures now. And beatdowns. In for 10. Anderson going to fall down to 10. Nelson going to go up a little bit higher here. There's another Gideon Knight Emblem, pass the turn back.
And what I like about this line is even if Anderson has a response, it's not like Nelson's beat. The game just goes on.
Yeah, we just get to keep playing. Brad has done a nice job of just presenting a difficult threat to answer.
Yeah. And Anderson, no flyer or any other response to Ormondal, looks like. So if he doesn't have lethal, he's done.
Yeah, and that's going to do it. Brad Nelson's going to win game number 1 here over Todd Anderson. The green-white aggro mirror goes to the player on the left for now, as Brad Nelson does win game number 1.
Great play there from Nelson. Beat 1, 2, 3, 4 with Gideon as the turn 4 play. Not an easy thing to do.
Yeah, that's the thing that surprised me, is being able to beat Gideon on the draw. Because
Yep.
that's so hard to do in these kind of green-white mirrors, as we learned last season. But Nelson was able to overcome some things. I think most importantly is that Todd didn't have land number 5 on time for the Gearhulk.
Yeah, I mean, if there's any complaint Todd can have about his draw, it's that. That's a small thing. But
Yeah.
that was huge. Yeah, Nelson got to settle the game down a little bit with his 8-8. It became harder and harder for Anderson to attack, and then the game became about Westvale Abbey, which Nelson had and Anderson did not.
Sideboards, or should I say sideboard, given that they're playing the same 75. So 3 Natural State, 3 Declaration Stone, 2 Fumigate, 2 Quarantine Field, 2 Linval the Observer, 2 Nissa, a Vital Force, and 1 Tyler's Tracker for each player. One's on the play, one's on the draw. They're each given plenty of flexibility. What do you like?
So I think both of these decks are better at blocking than attacking, so the game's likely to go on for a long time. The Fumigates, the Quarantine Fields, the Nissas, and the additional copy of Tireless Tracker seem great to me in this matchup. All the cards you can kind of justify up to a point. The Linvala is a big stabilizing threat. These decks don't have a lot of answers to flyers. Natural Estate can fight over some of the more significant cards, especially with Quarantine Field coming out of the sideboard. You can justify Declaration of Stone in this matchup too, but my instincts are it's about Fumigate, Quarantine Field, Nissa, and the Tireless Tracker.
Well, those are the options there for both players. We'll see how they'll sideboard, given that one is on the play, one is on the draw, and they know exactly what the other is working with. Should make for a little bit of an interesting game of cat and mouse. In the meantime, however, we're going to talk about the very popular promotion. That's StarCityGames.com Game Nights, which you can bring to your local store. We got awesome, exclusive tokens and pins, and now we get to watch Patrick say them correctly.
So you can head over to go.starcitygames.com/game night and find out more information about Game Night. Every month we come out with new pins and tokens that we send to the stores that are signed up for Game Night. Stores can then run Game Night however they want to, any day of the week, any format. Just get players in their store on a regular basis for some fun and friendly Magic. It's October 1, so now you are playing for Hedgehog, and we have the rest of the year ready to be rolled out here. November, you've seen this one before, a Mole Warden, and then debuting for the first time during this broadcast, Fintuition. Go.starcitygames.com/game night for more information. Find the Game Night closest to you. Stores, if you want to get signed up for Game Night, contact your Star City Games in-store play representative.
Wonderful promotion. There is a Game Night. I want to thank everyone for playing in that. And even sometimes you might even see Brad Nelson at the Star City Game Center playing in Game Night. The 30-year-old who currently resides in Roanoke, Virginia. He's got 8 open top 8s with 1 win, 3 invitational top 8s with 1 win here in Indianapolis a couple of years back. A golfer, a great standard player, and it looks like, I don't want to say he broke it or anything, because I think this deck was pretty obvious, but he's got a good deck for week 1.
What I like about this selection as a week 1 deck is you can look through the 75, look at the sideboard and the various plans that he has, and if they're off, if the metagame is something different than what they were anticipating, they can't be off by much because the deck is a pile of very good cards with a very flexible sideboard.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say after the tournament, oh man, we just didn't anticipate deck X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
We didn't have an answer for card X, Y, Z.
At the very least, your deck is proactive. You can just kill someone if you're in a bad matchup.
Right. So I like that element of it quite a bit.
It's a very safe week 1 deck. I think it makes for a really good selection by Brad and the rest of the guys that are playing it here this weekend, including Todd. So,
although the record's not the best so far.
yeah, I mean, 5-1-1, 5-2. You know, if Todd loses this one, he slides down to 5-3, still with the ability to make day number 2.
And Todd's playing with 2 buys also. So
Very
3
true.
and 2 in matches played. Brad, we had on camera round 1. He's coming in here clean. So 5-1-1, all 7 matches played. But Todd, not a great record thus far in played matches.
Still think there are some good things going on here, though. I think that people are going to try to figure out here, given what we've seen through 7.5 rounds now, is what's the best home for Verdurous Gearhulk? I think that's got to be one of the first things to figure out if you're playing the Pro Tour or the regional championships in 2 weeks.
Yep, that's another card where it feels like you can't miss by much.
Yeah,
It's true. It works with a lot of cards.
Yeah, it's very true. What can you put it with to maybe make it a little bit better? I mean, it's a natural inclusion with cards that have trample.
Yep.
You know, maybe unblockable.
Also,
something like that.
also flying.
Yeah.
Also first strike.
Got to find the best home for it. That's for sure. That card is good enough that you have to do that type of thing. Still an advocate here for Nelson.
Also menace. Also, just going through creature
You
keywords.
just keep rocking and rolling. Here is a Servant of the Conduit, 2 energy. Another fortified village. Pass the turn back. Will Anderson over to Nelson. Servant of the Conduit, a really, really nice card. A little bit of acceleration. You can do a little bit of splashing, color fixing, and a relevant body in a 2/2.
Yep. Usually mana creatures of this ilk are, 1/2s, 1/1s, and so they're good for what they do. but not necessarily the best body. This one's sized to actually brawl a little bit.
Advocate going to come across for 2. And now we go back over to Anderson. Couple of knuckleheads here in the Copter and an Advocate. And then a Canopy Vista there for Todd. We head Brad Nelson's way now. He'll pass. We'll head back Todd's way. Tell you one thing. The Brad attack there, Todd's snapping him off.
Oh, yeah.
Todd will not let you through.
Especially with a free loot on the way out.
Yeah.
I mean, talk about an incentive for Todd to just block. He's a very aggressive block. I'll call. I don't think you've got it.
Yeah.
And then it's, well, whatever, I'm getting a loot for free, then I'm calling every time.
Get out of my dreams. Get into my car. Get in there. That's where the servant is right now. It's in the chopper. Todd looting. Well, discard a Sylvan Advocate. Hand must be pretty good.
Or he's just worried about something like Fumigate, for example.
Completely reasonable.
May not want to just add more threats on the battlefield, since Nelson's draw here of turn 3, go, turn 4, go, might indicate that's what he's trying to set up.
Looks a little suspicious, I will say that. Turn 2, I think it was turn 2 Advocate, turn 3 nothing, turn 4 nothing,
Yeah.
if memory serves. Yeah. That's what's going on there.
I've got your deck list, just so you know. It's this same 75, so just going to play a Planeswalker and send it on back. BBD in the background with a match slip in hand.
Yeah, first time that's ever happened. First Gear Hulk. Make that one a 5/5. Send over the Sylvan Advocate. Pretty fast block. (5/6) Advocate, 5/5 Gearhawk here for Nelson. Anderson's got land 5. I think he's got a Gearhawk of his own. The tricky part again is just where do you put the counters? Situation like this.
It's weird because in one sense he's got this incentive just to load up on the Copter as protection against the sweeper. But on the other hand, he doesn't want to push too much on one card when cards like Quarantine Field and Natural State could be in Nelson's deck. So, you know, it's the risk-reward assessment here, trying to diversify as much as possible while pushing your advantage.
He's going to emblem up. Turn on the Copter, Gear Hulk, beatdown. So he's moving all in.
And it looks like Anderson's path here. He's got 8 this turn and another Gideon in hand, which is 9 next turn, which is 17, which is Brad's life total.
There goes the tracker.
So just force Brad to have an answer this turn.
Fumigated. Sorta counts. What's Brad got here? So you got a tracker. Might be on the hunt for answers. So what are the chances your opponent boards a natural state against you in the mirror?
The Quarantine Field also?
Yeah, all right. Yep.
I think they're reasonable.
Maybe not all 3.
Yeah, maybe a little bit of it.
Kills Copter, kills Q. You got to have an answer for Q Field after board.
Right, it seems.
It's too good.
If the game drags out, it's just the best card.
Yeah. Just imagine if one of them drew Quarantine Field in game 1 or game 2. Tracker, land, clue, Brad with deck and stone. Oh, well. Got to show the Gideon to finish the game off.
Yeah, showing that he's got the extra point there, and Nelson with no natural state, so just moving along.
Fair enough. Todd Anderson going to tie things up here against Brad Nelson. Green-white aggro mirror. Doesn't feel all that aggro. Going to game number 3 here in just a moment.
And Todd flashing it there because he knows Nelson would cast it straight away if he had it because of the copies of Blossoming Defense.
So true.
So he just knows you'd cast it if you had it because this is your opportunity to do it.
Yep.
You're not casting it, so you don't have it, so you're dead.
Yeah, if you wait, that would be bad. So you might as well just cast it right now. All right, play, draw, switches, anything.
Probably not.
No?
I mean, looks like Nelson is doing some swapping, and it wouldn't surprise me if, let's say, Declaration in Stone is a card you're kind of on the fence about. If play versus draw maybe influences that a little bit. But, you know, I think the good stuff is good. Though it looks like both of them are going back to the well, so.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, this is when you have the same 75, it's a game of one-upsmanship almost.
Yeah.
Especially when you can change your deck into an aggressive slant, or you can change it into a mid-rangey or controlling slant. Like we saw in Brad's hand, he had Fumigate.
Yep.
Like maybe that goes now that he's on the play.
Well, I don't know. I think the games are likely to just evolve into these soups so much of the time that you just want to have as much raw power in the deck as possible. I used to be in that camp of, yeah, why would you want Wrath of God when you're on the play? And it's like, well, sometimes that's just what the game is about a huge percentage of the time. And even if it's a little awkward while you're on the play, you can find other stuff to do. You have vehicles and planeswalkers to push an advantage and keep using your mana without exposing yourself to your own sweeper. And it's just too powerful a high percentage of the time, so you have to keep it in even if it's a little awkward.
Well, you see the options there for both players. Again, same 75 for each of them. Nelson, Anderson going to go to game number 3. One thing you can certainly do in 2 weeks from now, because this deck is looking pretty good, is play it at the regional championships. You can find the closest one to you at go.starcitygames.com/regionals, but you can learn more about that tournament in 2 weeks right now.
Don't miss the StarCityGames.com Season 3 Regional Championships. On October 15th, play Standard at any of the 15 regionals across the U.S. The first 200 players to register for each event will receive a Wings of Glass playmat and token just for signing up. Regional Championships are now part of the SCG Tour with SCG points for all players. Top 8 competitors earn a trophy, a share of $5,000, and a spot in an upcoming SCG Invitational. Visit go.starcitygames.com/regionals to learn more.
Plant your flag October 15th. Go.starcitygames.com/regionals. Find the closest one to you and maybe sleeve up a little green-white aggro. Like Todd Anderson is here ready for game number 3. The Alabama native who currently does reside in Roanoke, Virginia. Also 30 years old. My God.
Wow.
29 is so many.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my goodness.
It's a lot of those. It's a lot of those.
I didn't know we were that high already. With 6 open wins. Jeez. 3 invitational top 8s, 1 win in Atlanta a handful of years ago. Now, we've gone over these facts many a time, but we're going to have to update this to NBA Jam and NBA hang time enthusiast isn't the right word.
I guess
Very passionate.
at best, second best player of all time.
NBA
Then-
Jam?
Yeah.
Who's first?
I mean, the Cedric Phillips.
Is it a
Patty
tie
Sullivan
between me and you?
squad,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is it a tie between us because they can't possibly beat us?
I feel like we're splitting hairs about 1 and 1A.
Well, it's a team game.
That's true.
It's a team game. I can't do it alone.
Yep.
Neither can you.
It's true.
We make Shaq and Scott Skiles work.
We make it hum.
That's right. Todd has already challenged us today, by the way.
I know. There's a barcade, I believe, very close to the convention center, and Anderson just looking to get the business a second time. And
That's right.
I mean, I don't know.
I'm willing to oblige.
It's his quarters, man. You know, I'm not gonna stop the dude. It's not my place to regulate other people's behavior. You know.
That's right. You can certainly check the Twitter later this evening and tomorrow evening at Cedric A. Phillips. If it's unusually quiet, my phone might be dead.
Right.
If it's not quiet, my phone is perfectly fine and we smashed them.
Yep.
If it's quiet, it doesn't mean we lost. It just means my phone is dead.
Right.
That's all. Brad going to play a Fortified Village, serving to the Conduit. So a little bit of mana acceleration while Todd starting off a little slow with a Thraben Inspector plus a Clue. Todd on 6 cards will play a Smuggler's Copter and pass the turn back. Nelson, he leaves the Forest on the table. That might be his land for the turn. But for now, he's going to play a Tireless Tracker. There is the Forest. Here comes the Clue. And we'll head over to Todd. Todd will draw. Get to the chopper. Draw and discard here for Anderson. The chopper can fix a mulligan real fast. Going to discard Nissa Vital Force. There's a Plains. This is another Copter. Pass back to Nelson. Both players with some card drawing engines online as we head back over to Brad. I believe Quarantine Field may have just been the draw.
Nelson's route of card advantage here, or smoothing of draws at least via Tireless Tracker, a little bit more mana intensive. And this game looks like it's being played on a pretty fast timeline. Or at least Anderson's trying to turn it into that.
I'm going to sack a clue to draw a card. Tracker a little bit bigger. There's a land. Here come the beatdowns for, looks like 5. Take that back, 6, pardon me. Still have an Advocate pass the turn back. Anderson will draw. Bunch of knuckleheads there and Advocates. And that's 2 chopper hits. Loot twice. There goes the Plains. There goes an Aether Hub.
Good looking turn.
Yeah, really is. And he's ahead on, he's ahead on life too. Not doing bad. Nelson will draw, picked up a Plains. I mean, these games feel like they can be very swingy though.
They are very swingy, and Nelson is basically a turn away past this one for potentially Quarantine Field stabilizing or just allowing him to attack for lethal.
Well, it's interesting because he could Q Field right now with the help of the Servant for 2.
Yep.
I don't know if that's the best use of the card right now. It's just saying it's just an option.
The problem is if he, let's say he takes care of the Smuggler's Copters, then Anderson still gets to crack back with his Vigilance threats, and any sort of follow-up is pretty bad news. And he's just been looting a whole bunch this game too, so the leftover in his hand's probably solid. I guess he's looted away 2 lands, so could still potentially be a land.
But it just feels like with the way that, with how quickly he looted, discarding those lands, just saying like, okay, like these don't matter anymore. I've got what I need. Kind of feels that way at least. Nelson will sacrifice a clue, draw a card.
Yeah, I like this line a lot more from Brad of try to just dial up, try to do as much as he can ahead of schedule, and then dial up a big Quarantine Field turn next turn to finish off the game.
3 clues total now for Anderson.
Also getting to attack with a Servant of the Conduit now that the 2/3's not in play is a pretty big win. So I think I like this line of play from Nelson more than snapping off the Quarantine Field this turn.
Nelson will play a land. Yeah, he's already played a land because he cracked the clue right away.
Also, Todd has not missed a land drop yet.
And he's discarding lands.
Right,
Yeah.
so he's on 4 mana versus 5. We're good now.
Draw. Huh. I think he just may have drawn Fumigate.
Well, that's a little weird here. He can he can dial up a Thopter and go digging for land number 5, but then he loses the Inspector and his Copter.
Not great.
But he's also likely to be dead next turn if he doesn't. I suppose he can Declaration in Stone the Tireless Tracker and hang back. It's not necessarily yeah, I know it's bad. It's not a good look.
It's not good.
Not good.
No. I hear what you're saying, but maybe did Todd get too aggressive?
I think this is kind of what his cards let him do.
Draw a card.
I mean, his line of play looks really good if Nelson doesn't have Declaration in Stone, but that tilted the damage race so much because he was down a blocker on the Sylvan Advocate, and it also allowed Servant of the Conduit to attack as well.
Sure.
And that's just a huge swing given how tight the damage race was.
Anderson does not play a land there. Boy. Gearhawk the draw. Whew. Can he spread it enough with Gearhawk? I think he might be able to.
Yeah, with land number 6, you just have you put 1 on the Advocate and 3 on the Servant, and you got 5 coming in 2 different directions.
Okay. Yeah, I think Brad is realizing that now.
Brad's just like, oh yeah, you're dead on the table.
Yeah, just gear hulk you and just take care of you. That's it. But he also had a quarantine field, so he just wanted to think things through. But he found the winning line, did Brad Nelson, who wins this match here over Todd Anderson 2-1. The green-white aggro mirror goes to the 2014 Players Champion. Nelson moves on to 6-1-1 here with this green-white aggro deck.